Hey guys, welcome to Punky's World. This video will go up tomorrow. This is almost 7 o'clock in the evening, so I'm not editing this tonight. I am on my brand new card because the other card is occupied with editing. Actually, uploading. Editing is done. I wanted to review Shiny Happy People, the Duggar Docuseries. Wow. Yeah. That's the first thing to say. Wow. Jill Duggar was there. I was surprised Ginger wasn't, just because I know she just wrote her book Becoming Free. I was also surprised to see somewhere that Jill and Ginger are not getting along. I would have thought they would have been getting along the best because they both are kind of broken free from Gothard's teachings, you know. But for whatever reason, that's not the case. Oh my goodness. I like Jill's husband, Derek. I was watching well, in the documentary they showed clips of him on his, I don't know if it's YouTube or podcast or what it is, but I think it was YouTube. And he has such a solid grasp on the Bible. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear here. For the sake of total, what is the word? Not openness. Transparency. For the sake of complete transparency, I want to tell you I did watch the show. Some of the stuff was interesting, some of it was kind of funny. In fact, when the first thing came out in 2015 with Josh, my mother said, "I know you watched that show, and I'm so sorry." And I said, "Mom, I haven't watched it in a couple of years, you know." And both of my parents said, "Well, that's what happens when you cloister a boy like that. And you don't teach them, you don't, you know, I don't care if you're waiting for marriage, okay? I personally believe you should wait for the right person. And that person should be the person that you think you're going to marry. Whether you wait for engagement or you just know that's the person. You know what I mean? I don't think you should just be out there giving it away. I also think that one thing that I respected about them was the modesty factor, because I grew up with a mother who's extremely modest. That being said, my mother sewed me a mini skirt. But as long as it came down to like the middle of your thigh, so it was well below no man's land. Back or front. Of course, the back is no man's land anyway. But as long as it was below that, and when you sat down, it was still below that area. And you sat like a lady. So you sat with either with your legs crossed at the knee, or if that was going to show anything, you would sit with your legs crossed at the ankle with your knees together. You know, and that's how I was raised. I was raised by a very modest woman. She hated most of my night clothes. She would hate most of my night clothes today. I'm a single woman living by myself. I can wear what I want to wear at night. But my two-piece night clothes that I have, she'd hate them. She would hate them. And so would my father, because he was also raised that way. My mother, so I appreciated the modesty. However, they lived in Arkansas, and they were wearing dresses to the floor. Ugh. And it's funny, because when I was looking for my dress for my reunion, which, like I said, I had to get a new dress, because the other one wasn't going to be here in time, but I like the new one, so I'm okay with it. I look for key things. First of all, I'm not going to buy a dress that goes to the floor. I'm too short. If I bought a dress that went to the floor in the pictures, I'm going to have a train a foot behind me. I know this because I'm only 4'8". So I try to buy a dress that comes up. In the case of this, I really wanted a dress that was a little bit below the knee. Or right at the knee. Nothing higher than that. Yeah. And I never understood girls who wore mini skirts that were right at the no man's land line. It's like, that's showing a little more than you should, because I wasn't raised that way. So I like I said, I appreciated their modesty. Shirts, I'm kind of particular on that. I don't want low cut, That was another problem I was having with a lot of the dresses, is the stupid things were cut down past my boobage. And I was, no, and no. I'm not wearing that anywhere, let alone my class reunion. So, kind of had to, I don't care about heels or anything like that. I don't wear heels. That's a trip to the emergency room for me, because my middle name should have been either Klutz or Clumsy, and I said that in an earlier video after I smashed up my knee. If you recall, I peeled every layer of skin off in a big old flap, and I bruised the bone. I had a contusion to the bone. And I said my middle name, at that time, my middle name should have been Clumsy or Klutz, and it should have been. And by the way, if my father had named me, or if I'd had a sister, seeing as how my parents decided to name me after my grandmother, her name would have been, and if my father had named me, my name would have been Vanessa Jean. Just so you know. And I would have been called Nessie. So, but I'm glad I wasn't Vanessa, because I had a friend in school whose name was Vanessa. So I moved away, and boy was I blue when she moved away. Anyway. And I was shocked. I was talking to other classmates, and they're like, yeah, I remember her. I'm like, you remember her? She was there for like 2 years, Maybe a year and part of a year with us before she moved. I believe she moved to Texas. But a couple of the kids said, yeah, I stayed in touch with her. Gee, I wish I had the option. I might have had her address in Texas at one time when we were kids, actually, come to think of it. I think we did write to each other a couple times. Now that I'm actually thinking back on it and having some kind of memory. But yeah, it's weird. I believe she wrote to the class, too, to school. once. Ow! When she started her first year at her new school in Texas. But anyway, that was my foot. That was my toe. So I appreciated that, but it was a little bit strange the way that they acted. And truthfully, when everything came out about Josh, I wasn't surprised. And I did tell my mother that at the time. I said, I'm not terribly surprised. Evidently their homeschooling was through the IBLP, which is their church, sort of, which I guess, according to the last episode, Jim, Bob, and Michelle have pretty much taken over. In 2021, the homeschooling curriculum, which is ITA or something like that, I don't know. TAI or something like that. I don't know. It ends in I because they all end in institute of some sort, form, or another. And they didn't really teach them like math, English, that sort of thing. So it just kind of surprised me a little bit, to hear how little it taught them. I have a friend who uses a homeschooling curriculum, not IBLP, but she does share some of the same beliefs. I just let her talk. Because she's a very conservative Christian. So she has definite beliefs. She does send me things. I do watch things from time to time, but some of the stuff is a little, I'm not sure about. Anyway, I try to be respectful. And some of the stuff I am interested in, genuinely. As a Christian woman. And I've made no bones about the fact that I'm a Christian. I am not, however, what they call evangelical or major conservative Christian. I'm just not. I'm Protestant. I am probably closer to congregational than anything else. I attend Bible study. We have it every other week. We're having it this week on Wednesday. Doggone it, I'm going. Last couple I've had historical society commitments. Well, 1 week I had a historical society commitment, and the following week I had my family come in. So yeah, it was wow. So I've been busy, and so I had my Bible study buddy bring me the worksheets from the 2 weeks that I missed, so that I could work them and get ready so that I wasn't behind. So I do that. I do believe in that. I do believe in God's will. I believe in, to me, being a Christian, the Duggars would probably disagree, but to me, being a Christian is about forgiveness. There's no question that you need to forgive. Doesn't mean you need to forget. For your own salvation. I would just say to Josh's sisters and whomever the other victim was, for your own salvation, for your own soul, forgive him. Not for him. Don't do it for him. He doesn't deserve it done for him. You do it for you. Because your salvation's not worth him. Or anyone else, for that matter. And it says in the Word that in order for God to forgive you, you must forgive others. Thus the Lord's Prayer. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So in order to be forgiven, and there's other places in the Bible that talks about that, we must forgive. And I get that, and I don't have a problem with him being forgiven by his victims. Just as long as they don't forget, and I personally wouldn't allow them around my children because I wouldn't forget and I wouldn't trust, you know. The Bible also says you're not supposed to hate. I don't think there's no one I hate. I don't have that strong feeling about anybody. There are people I love, there are people I like, and there are people I don't like so much. And there are people who like me, who love me, people who love me, and people who don't like me so much. I'd like to think nobody actually hates me. That's a very strong word. And I think that, that's one of the tenets of Christianity. Now, again, full disclosure, I, from the 8th grade forward, was in the Nazarene Church youth group. Nazarene Church is, well, at least that Nazarene Church, but is kind of cult-like, in that they do things like food deprivation, sleep deprivation, but we had an awesome youth pastor who didn't allow it for us. We went to bed when we were tired, when we were at camp, or when we were at retreat, or let's try that again. The word is Bible, folks. Bible quizzing. And he made sure we ate. He took one look at the little tiny bowls of cereal one morning at one of our Bible quizzes, and he said to me, because I was sitting next to him with this little bowl of cereal, and he said, "This is ridiculous." He said, "That's barely going to fill you." He said, "Look at the size of these boys I've got. Let's go. We're getting out of here." He said, "I got to feed these boys. This is ridiculous." So he took us to the No, actually, he took us to Burger King, and we got like actual food, breakfast sandwiches, or maybe we got breakfast sandwiches at Dunkin's, one of the two. And it probably cost him a good fortune because he was buying for everybody in the youth group that was there. You had big boys, not fat, in any way, just tall, big, growing teenage boys. And he's like, "This is absurd." So, yeah. And I remember at retreat, we were all kind of falling asleep. And he's like, "Go to bed." Because we were supposed to stay up to a certain time. And we were all falling asleep. And he said, "Go to bed. Just go to bed. This is absurd." So, love you, Jay. Mwah. If I ever got married, I always wanted him to perform the ceremony. I love that man with all of my heart. And I'm so blessed to have had him as my youth pastor. So fortunate. So glad that I did. I learned so much about him. Him and my mother used to talk for hours on the phone discussing the Bible. Because my mother was a Christian woman. you know. But these conservatives go a little too far, and these evangelicals go too far, you know, about, like, granted, I would not, under any circumstances, including rape, have an abortion. If my life was at stake and I had no other option, then I wouldn't have a choice. Otherwise, forget it. Never. And I would raise a child the same way. That that's not an option. As far as birth control goes, overall, I can tell you that I do not like hormonal birth control because I know it's dangerous. It can cause strokes. It can, I'm sorry, it's dangerous. That being said, it does have uses. And I wonder if Michelle Duggar ever. Oh, I think I have a visitor. Okay, I was right. I had company. She's my neighbor bringing me some Italian wedding soup for dinner. Oh, which I'll eat tomorrow for dinner. Anyway, what was I going to say? What was I going to say? Oh, so there were things I appreciated about their family, you know, when I was watching. But some of the boys, as they get older, kind of creeped me out. Josh being one of them. I can't explain it. Jim Bob creeps me out, quite frankly. And they're so fake. Literally, this place, if they hold up 3 fingers, it means smile. It's like, are you kidding me? I don't want to smile, I don't want to smile, you know? But, like I said, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in not hating. You know, I get that. I get all of that. And I just do not believe oh, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about modest dress. I don't think you need to wear long sleeves or always cover your shoulders or whatever. And I think girls can wear heels. Like I said, I personally am, you know, proud holder of Klutz of the Year for every year of my life. So, yeah, not good. And, playing with my, and we were talking about birth control. And I've said this to my mother, do not believe in the morning after pill. After is too late. I do not care if you know, if even if I was raped, nope, still half my child. And besides that, the morning after pill to me is akin to an abortion. I know it's different than the abortion pill, but to me it's after, therefore it's an abortion. And I wouldn't do it. Like I said, I started to say that birth control does have uses. And this is, I think, something Jim Bob and Michelle never took into consideration. And that is that sometimes hormonal birth control is used to treat endometriosis. She used to regulate things, and I know people. I know what I went through, and I know what a girl that I call my niece, my closest friend's daughter, is going through month after month after month. It's torture. And I don't think that if that can help, it's obviously not helping her, but wouldn't you want to help your child not be in torture? I was thinking about, like, they believe in having children till you can't anymore. Okay. Excuse me. What if you're in my position? I went through chemo, and my period changed drastically. Chances were I was no longer fertile. I was told that that was not likely to happen, but I also know that it changed drastically. And I remember talking to my liver doctor because he was very concerned about that. But I also knew that if I were to become sexually active during the time that I was seeing that liver doctor, and from that time forward, that I would have had to use birth control because I couldn't risk getting pregnant on medication that, well, first of all, it lowers my immune system, but it also is known to cause birth defects. Yeah, no. I loved, this is going to sound weird, but I don't know how else to put it. I loved the children I never had enough to not want to put them through that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I guess I never looked at it that way. I loved the children that I never had, that I wanted to have enough to not do that to them. So then I had major problems. I had the endometrial ablation, which didn't work. Then ultimately I had the hysterectomy, which discovered that my right ovary was just gone. It was huge, and it had gotten so big that it had twisted and split the right fallopian tube. No wonder I was in agony. I was having periods twice a month because I had something like a 4 or 5 month pregnancy sized fibroid. So, but God had other plans for me. I don't think He plans for every woman to have children. And I know Michelle would vehemently disagree with me, but I believe that in my own Christian beliefs. He had other plans for me. Thus, kid missing. I think it's I don't know what else to say. I just wanted to make it clear that, yes, I started watching the show. I've watched a couple of the specials, and I was just fascinated with how they do things so orderly. And I figured, okay, yeah, conservative Christians, but they're also from Arkansas. Of course they are. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why conservative Christians are so pro-Trump. That man is not a Christian. There's not a Christian bone in his body. I don't know when the last time that man ever actually pick up a Bible except for a photo op. I mean, seriously. My mother was reading me the Bible before I was old enough to read. I guess for me, it's a matter of, I don't know. I don't think God's up there saying, you went to this church, burn, you went to that church, come up here. I don't think it works that way, and my mother used to say that all the time. It's true though. I don't think he's up there doing that. I don't think it matters, and I have said to people, I respect your beliefs, I just don't share them. Please respect mine. Like, I have a friend whose family is devout Jehovah's Witness. I respect that you have a belief system. I respect what you choose to believe. Please respect what I choose to believe. I don't think it matters what label you put on your religion, as long as you believe that Christ died on that cross for your sins, rose 3 days later, defeating sin and death, and was ascended into heaven to sit at the right hand of God with his enemies as his footstool. Long as you believe that, and you live in such a way that hopefully shows you believe that, without, don't shove it down people's throats, but let people know that by your actions that you believe it. There is a Christian song by Petra that says seen and not heard. Speaking of which, in their thing about music, they believe, I guess the drums are the devil, I don't know. And it's even music that says it's Christian. Here's an example, and their example is Petra. And because they have drums, they're evil, even though they're singing the word, and the word has saved their lives. All you have to do to be saved is say the sinner's prayer. What is it? You ask God in your heart, you ask for forgiveness of your sins. You say, I believe he died on that cross, was raised, defeating sin and death, and ascended to heaven. You don't have to say all of that, but I believe you died for my sins, and I believe, you know what I mean? And I ask Jesus in my heart. That's all you have to do. And then live it. Live it by your actions. If someone says to you, sheesh, how do you get through, whatever crisis you've been through that you got through with grace? Like, I've been asked about the cancer and stuff. How did you get through that with a smile on your face? Because I had my Lord and Savior by my side. And I always tell them that. That's how we get through things with grace. By his grace. Thy will, not my will. Something hard to remember, but it's so important. My mother used to say, and I want to leave you with this quote. My mother used to say all the time, when things would get tough sometimes, as they do, she would look at me and she would say, let go and let God. And I firmly believe that. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Please subscribe. I hope I haven't knocked you over the head with my my beliefs. I just wanted to be completely transparent about my beliefs and why I started watching them. So, thank you. Bye, guys. That's why I always say God bless you, because I mean it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, night, whatever it is. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, later today. For you, because this will go up tomorrow. Bye, guys.